सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय, महायोगी स्वामी उमानंद सरस्वती की जय. Today I am going to give you a story about how messages of divine texts or the divine texts can spread. One of the very important texts of spiritual literature is Das Bodh. It's a contribution of Samartha Ramdas. The story goes as follows. In one of the ashrams, the study of Das Bodh was a regular feature. Those who wish to know more about it can go into Google's and search. I shall stick to the story part of it today. The text was studied in one of the ashrams. And one fine day, the master tells one of his devotees, he says, there is no need to have two gurus. Now that you are enlightened enough, you need to move on. You need to move on. So he said, I am not going to leave you. The disciple says, I am not going to leave you, sir. I am going to stay put here and serve you. So he says, yes, you will be serving me, but in a different manner. I want you to move on, move ahead, go away and carry the message. So he says, where should I go? I have no place, I have no family. You are my only family. There's no place, where should I go? So he says, see, one thing is sure that you need to go from here. Of course, the disciple had no choice but to leave. But he turned and he said, what will I do all alone by myself? So the master says, all right, you do one thing. There were a few youngsters of the ashram. He said, you take 3 of them from here with you. And you 4 of you move out. So he says, where should we go? Where should we go? He said, guide us somewhere. The disciple said, please guide us, sir, where we should go. Where should we stay? What should we do? So he says, all right. He gives them a woolen blanket. It's like a stall, like a blanket. And he says, all right, you take this along with you. And wherever this particular blanket gets stuck, you have to put up your base there. Friends, even gurus depend upon destiny. They don't interfere destiny. They allow the destiny to choose what the next step of the destiny should be. The orders of a guru were the orders of guru, and the disciples had to leave. So the other 3 were comparatively younger than this dear devotee of Samartha school of thought. And as they moved on, they went for a long time, they walked and walked and walked. It was probably the next day or the next day after that. They had reached about 150, 200 miles away they had gone. And It was it was a bushy area. Uh, there were small bushes around, and hardly any person to be seen. And it was here Destiny decided to let the shawl fall, blanket fall. It not only fell, it fell on a bush which was thorny and it got stuck. Now, look here, friends. This is how most of the saints look at life. Some situations which are not done but which tend to happen, the saints look upon them as the will of God. So it was here that the blanket got stuck in a thorny bush. The disciple looked around. There was no life there. There were no souls there. There was nobody living around. It seemed a very isolated area. And he said, what am I going to do? So he had asked his master, wherever we stay, what should we do? So master tells them, you take a copy of Das Bodh, the text, and you start rewriting it. That's all you do. You take pen, paper, and you start rewriting it in your own writing, handwriting. See, it just takes a little to start a spiritual journey. Of course, they had to put up there. There was absolutely nothing around. But the devotees, the disciples, the other three of them were smart enough. They immediately had some bamboos picked up. They covered it with straw, raw, whatever it was. And somehow they made a shelter for themselves. And all four of them spent the night there first. Next morning, the three of them said, we'll go around and see how far the village from here is, any nearby village, and we shall return with some food and water. They all left. Of course, meanwhile, they had sufficient ration with them, so it was not that they were starving. They left, and within no time, they came across some people in nearby town, and people started offering them. And this man, the devotee who was asked to leave the ashram, disciple, he started writing Das Bodh. Now every day he started writing, and obviously after he wrote, evening they would all sit together and he would tell them what was interesting about the day's writing. Das Bodh is a beautiful text. All those who wish to read, go through it. Someday we'll take it up even here. But he started writing, and daily they would discuss what was there in Das Bodh. This started becoming a practice, and soon an evening session. Of course, where there is a speaker, the audience has to come. That's the law of spiritual world. And wherever there is an audience, a speaker is sent. We had all the rishis waiting for some Sutta Muni to come and tell them the story of Bhagavad or various texts. Similarly, the villagers started coming. They felt this was something interesting. And they would come in the evenings and hear this man speak about what he was writing and what he read. Of course, when you go to a guru's ashram, normally people carry something. So some of them carried some fruits, some little clothes, dry rations, and slowly, almost within much earlier than a year, a small ashram came up. This is how message spreads. By the time the text was written totally, it became a full-fledged ashram. Friends, those who want to develop spiritually, take any good holy book and just start writing, rewriting it down in your own handwriting. Take a set of papers and a pen and start writing. The texts themselves are revered. The texts are messengers. They are divine texts. Once the words are uttered, manifestation is going to come forth. All ashrams will spring up in no time. Those who wish to try it, go ahead and do it. Those who want to work in ashrams or have their own ashrams, this is a good start. One more story, short story I will attach with this so that we get a little balanced. In one such ashram, few villagers went and they said, "Sir, we heard you are very generous and kind and you have the ability to grant any wish to anyone." The sage was humble. He said, "I suppose if I grant something, my God is kind enough to give it. So what is it you want?" So some of these villagers, they said, "We want wealth. We want wealth." There's nothing wrong in asking for it. But let's just look at it as a story. We want wealth. So he said, "All right, come tomorrow." So next day these people came. There were again a couple of them. They came with huge trunks, bags. When the sage saw the bags, he said, "Oh my God, what have you brought for me?" So they said, "Sir, we have not brought anything. We are going to take something from you today." He said, "Is it?" He had almost forgotten. They said, "Sir, yesterday you promised us. Oh sage, you promised us yesterday that you are going to give us wealth." Oh, he said, "Oh, is it? Yes, yes, I had forgotten." He said, "All right." He said, "Keep them here." But he said that, "You see, if I just give you without taking something from you, I tend to become very egoistic. I'll think I'm the king and the balance will be lost. I will forget my humility. My ego will grow. So you'll have to give me something in exchange." So they said, "Because we don't have anything, we have come to you. What are we going to give you?" He said, "Don't worry, don't worry. I'll only ask you what you have. I won't take anything what you don't have." So they said, "All right, you can ask us what you want." So he says, "Look here, how much money do you expect me to give you?" So of course they had about 20,000, 50,000, whatever their demands were. He said, "All right, so those who want 50,000 and above, raise your hands." One of them raised the hand, 50,000 and above. He said, "It's a huge amount. Against it, can you just give me 1 year? Just chop it off and give it." He said, "What?" He held his ear. He said, "What nonsense? What are you saying, sir? I mean, I cannot cut my ear off." He said, "Why? An external part says you don't need to have it. It just adds to your beauty, but that's about all. Otherwise, you are not going to lose much." He said, "Nothing doing. I'm not going to touch my ear." He said, "One eye?" So he said, "Are you mad?" Then he said, "All right, look here. I don't mind a hand." The man just kept his hand behind himself. And he got up and quietly left. The other one looked. So he says, all right, 50,000 is too much. Less than that. The story goes on. And all four leave with a message. The youngsters can think of the message if they want to tell me. But of course, aren't we having things which are more precious than 50,000? 1 lakh. I don't know. 10 lakh? 20? I don't think it's much more precious. Friends, that we are humans itself is the greatest gift of God to us. Let's be as good humans as possible. That's the least we can do. If He has created us, let's just thank Him by being good human beings. Don't forget to look into Das Bodh if you want. This is Swami Radhikanand from Pune.